In this episode, we're talking all things websites and why you need one for your brand. So if you ever ask the question, do I actually need a website? This episode is going to go into detail on that for you. So I cannot wait to share all the things about websites. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Before we get started, I want to take a minute to just talk about our sponsor, Jane App. The Up in My Business podcast is sponsored by Jane, an all-in-one practice management software that offers intuitive features like booking, charting, and billing to help you run your practice. Jane knows payments are an everyday part of running a practice, and with that in mind, they've created a PCI-compliant payment solution that is amazing, by the way, called Jane Payments that offers flexible online and terminal payments for your practice. With Jane Payments, you can collect a credit card through an intake form or your online booking payment policy, which can be charged later on. You can also send payment requests via email or text to collect outstanding balances. You can learn more at jane.app/payments. Again, jane.app/payments, or use the code LEX1MO at jane.app/start to receive a 1-month grace period applied to your new Jane account. Welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. I'm Lex. I'm super excited to have you here. If you're new, welcome. If you are returning, thank you so much for listening in again. This episode, we are going to talk all things websites and why you need one for your brand and your business. And we're going to go into a couple different concepts that I find myself just, not harping on, but saying over and over again. And hopefully some of these will land for you if you've ever wondered, why do I have this website, or do I actually need a website, especially for my people who may not have started their business yet. So we'll dive in. First, a quick little life update. Big changes in my life coming down the pipeline. Not really going to elaborate on that now, but eventually we'll talk about it. So big changes coming down the pipeline for me. As far as last weekend, I had a lovely visit from Anna at Movement Rev. I almost just said at Movement Rev, but yes, on Instagram. So lovely visit from Anna. We recorded a podcast episode together. So if you haven't seen that, it is on her website and obviously on all podcast channels, but her podcast is Unreal Results Podcast. So if you want to just check that episode out, feel free. We talked a lot about scoliosis, the first episode, and then she actually split it up into 2 different ones. And then the next one, we talked about her figuring out that she has compartment syndrome, so exertional compartment syndrome in her legs. So super, super interesting episodes there. So feel free to check them out if you would like. We went hiking and it was super, super fun. And it's always just so great to be able to see people that I have originally met on the internet in person and have since become super close with. So super excited, super grateful that Anna took the time to come visit in New Hampshire. And yeah, that's really all. Like I was so pumped to see her. So with all that being said, no real big updates otherwise. Just super happy that the weather has not been snowing lately, which if you live in New England or any sort of area where you have that like tease of summer, if you will, and then it goes cold again, and then you have a tease of summer, and then it goes cold, and then eventually it stays warm. But I think we're in like the second tease zone right now. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. So without further ado, let's dive into why you need a website for your business. Oftentimes I get a question. There's one specific question I get of, I have a Lead Pages account, or I have a sales page, whatever you're using account. It's usually Lead Pages. Do I actually need a website as well? And then the other question that I get is, my business is so new, why would I need a website? Or I'm not sure that I want to invest in a website. So to address both of those questions immediately, yes, you need a website. So I would argue that one of the most important things that you can do when you first start your business is get a website. Websites will go through why those things are. I have 9 things written out for you that really blend in together. So I'm going to name them off as different things, but you'll see that they all kind of feed into each other. But having that website immediately in the beginning of your business can really help you do some really, really good things. And it also sets you up for success in the future. So if you're wondering if you need a website, yes. And if you're wondering if you need to make a $5,000 purchase, stay tuned to the end of the episode because I will give you a solution that will essentially get you a website on a budget, but it'll be a good website on a budget. Okay, so let's jump in. So here's the reason. So I sat down and I was like, what are the actual reasons why you need to have a website? Because I've always wanted to nail this down for people so that I can, just share it with them cohesively and in a cohesive manner. But anyway, so what are the things that websites do for you? So my first one is you own your website. You don't own social media. So a lot of people are like, well, I have an Instagram page or I have a Facebook page, but that is not good enough. So when you have those 2 social media pages, it's not owned by you. Facebook and Instagram could go away tomorrow. So by having a website, you're then having a space for people to land if social media died. But also, if you have social media, so Instagram or Facebook, there's a reason why they let you put a link in the Instagram bio, right? There's a reason they do that. It's because it's literally impossible to have what you have on a website on your social media pages. It's just not in a cohesive manner. People have to scroll a lot. They have to navigate around. Like if you did it as highlights, you could totally save like Instagram highlights as like about, services, contact, whatever you want to do. So it looks like a website, but people still want the cohesive version of a website. And if you're posting on social media and you're expecting that people are going to scroll back and learn all about you and learn all about your process and learn all about your business, you're wrong. People are not going to do that. So make sure that when you have a website, you're telling the story and the story is in one place. So the biggest thing though is that you own it. Like you have that website. There is no competition. There's no algorithm. You own your website. And if social media died, then you would still have that website. So that is my number 1 reason why you need a website. The rest of them are in no particular order. So I don't want you to think it's like a scale, but that first one, that is super, super important to me. Number 2, it builds credibility. So we all know that there's a huge know, like, and trust factor when it comes to working with other humans. People want to know, like, and trust you. When you have a website, you have the ability to tell a story. So you have an about page where you can tell your personal story about your business, but also about yourself. When you have a homepage, you can also start to introduce people to your brand before they even get to the second page of your website. If you write on your website in what we call like a conversion copy way, so what that means is just relatable, right? So you're not being a sterile writer when you're writing. We all know what that looks like. The sterile writer is someone, if you go to like any general hospital page, that's sterile writing. So conversion copywriting is more or less just talking to the consumer when they get to your page. So building that credibility, increasing that know, like, and trust factor, it's super important for our businesses because if you're able to do that on your website, you have a better chance of then doing business with people who come to your website. And not to mention the 2 things that people do when they find out, or they get recommended about a business, they'll go to their Instagram or they'll go to their website. Most times it's both because Instagram will lead them to their website or they'll go to the website first and then potentially go to the Instagram. So super important to have it because it will allow you to build that credibility and get the know, like, and trust factor and break through the trust barrier potentially before you even talk with them. So if someone reads your about page and they see themselves in the stuff that you write, the photos that you have, your story, you're likely already breaking through the trust barrier with that person before they even contact you, which means that's now a warm, if not a hot lead. So websites can do that for you. Can Instagram, Facebook do that for you as well? Sure they can. Absolutely. But someone has to be able to and want to scroll through all your posts. And I don't know, I am not convinced that people do that. Not convinced. So putting it in one space allows people to do it quickly. Number 3, it builds your brand and gives you a place to showcase your work, your services, and especially your testimonials. So having a website will allow you to build out your brand in a way you can't do elsewhere. So with that, it means, the photos you put on your website, the story you tell on your website, making sure that you're able to, be relatable for the people that are going to be coming to your website. And the thing is when you're able to showcase your work and the outcomes that you get and the testimonials that people give you, you're once again breaking through that trust barrier and building on that know, like, and trust factor. So it's super important to then build that brand out, right? Who do you work with? It's very easy to see on your website via photos, via testimonials, via the stuff that you have put on your website as far as copy or the text on your website goes. So building out that brand, maintaining a color scheme, maintaining a font choice, right? It's important, and it allows you to keep your brand consistent and really build it out in a way that is beyond social media. Number 4, it allows you to be found outside of social media. And plus, you need a website for SEO. So if people can only find you on social media, guess what? People who don't have social media or don't go to social media aren't going to be able to find you outside of social media. An example that I have of this that I've found is very consistent are like hairstylists. So most hairstylists are on Instagram, but they don't have their own website, whether it's because they work for a big, they rent a booth at a place, or they're actually an employee of a hair salon. Most times they don't have their own website. So if you can't find like a blonding specialist, I have done this, so obviously I'm experienced here with this blonde hair. If you search for a blonding specialist on the web, hardly anything comes up. If I search on Instagram though, boom, bunch of stuff. So for me, I would rather see everyone have their independent website. So that way, when someone Googles you and tries to find the service that you provide, 1, it's super easy to see your portfolio, but 2, it allows you to be found outside of social media. So if someone doesn't search Instagram, you can still be found. And the SEO component, you can't make search engine optimization happen unless you have a website. So that just allows your website to essentially do work for you while you sleep. So your website is on 24/7. People are Googling things 24/7. It's really important to have a resource for them to go to if they're going to be Googling things. Instagram won't pop up on Google. Facebook won't pop up on Google as answers. So if you're looking to reach an ideal client that you have, if they're Googling something that you do, if you only have Facebook and Instagram as an option, then you're kind of SOL because you're not going to come up. So having a website and making sure that you put those words on there, you put that service on there, you put those blogs in there, whatever it may be, you give yourself the opportunity to reach people that you wouldn't have reached otherwise, and people who are way outside of social media. Number 5, it allows you to blog. So blogging is kind of like people hate it, people love it, whatever it may be, but blogging allows you to develop expertise. So if you have a blog, you can write about different topics, and by writing about those topics, you then show that you are the expert in those topics. Who doesn't want to see an expert? We're going to go back to the blonding specialist, and then we'll relate it back to health and wellness. If I go to someone's Instagram, because that's where they're found, if I don't like the blonde colors that they're putting out there, then I'm not going to book with them. Like, it shows they put their best hair work, whatever, on their Instagram. And if I don't like the colors that they're giving me for blonde, I'm not booking with them, like plain and simple. And that just is what it is. So when it comes to health and wellness, if someone is a pelvic floor specialist, or maybe they're an orthopedic ACL specialist, if they have no content about ACL or pelvic health, and this doesn't even need to be a blog, it can be a podcast episode, it can be a service page, whatever it may be, it just needs to have content around that topic. So if you don't have anything about that topic and you don't advertise that you do that service, I'm probably not going to come to you. And if someone's looking for a specific service, let's say concussion therapy or ACL rehab, and you don't have anything about that on your website to develop your expertise and show that expertise to people, or show that you actually do it, then they're probably not going to book with you, even if you have that service. And once again, this just shows, like, if you only have social media, people aren't going to care enough to scroll through all your posts and be like, do they treat ACL? People want answers, and they want them quick. Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be, that is more or less escapism. Like, people don't necessarily search for services all the time on Instagram. People usually search for their services on the internet. So make sure that you give people a place to find you. And with a website, you do that. Number 6, it gives you room to grow. So here's the thing with lead pages, is people are like, I have a bunch of landing pages on lead pages. Do I actually need a website too? Yes, of course you do, because your lead pages don't mean anything as far as like establishing your brand. So giving you room to grow, if you add a service, you can add that to your website. If you add an employee, you can add that person to your website. Whatever you need to do, you can do it on your site if you have a website, right? So if you don't have a website and you only have that lead pages, let's just say, it's really hard to grow, because when you start to have a bunch of programs and you have 16 lead pages but no actual website, you can't really get to your lead page unless they have the direct link. So someone can't just discover a program randomly that you have. People have to be pointed to that program directly with a link. So it just limits your reach, essentially. And having a website and being able to say, I do ACL, concussion, pelvic health, rather than just having a lead page for each of those services, at least if someone lands on your website and they say, oh, cool, this brand, they do concussion, but they also do pelvic health and ortho, amazing, right? If you only land on the lead page, you then have a link to a page about pelvic health and you don't even know that they do concussion therapy. So if they don't need pelvic health, they're probably not going to book with you. So yes, I would say you definitely need a website, even though you have lead pages, but also just it gives you the ability to grow. Let's see here. Where are we? Number 7, it allows you to sell things. So it allows you to essentially sell things on your website with a couple different aspects. So we can build a sales page. We can have commerce features like a checkout button, right? And it's really important because that allows you to then not only be discovered, but for people to actually invest in your services before they're able to, let's just say, explore your entire site, right? So if you're able to sell things on your page and have sales pages, you can then have programs that make you money, which I'm never going to say that you have passive income, because we all know passive income isn't passive income. But if you have products on your site and people are exploring your website and they end up, once again, giving you room to grow, and they end up on a page where you have a webinar for sale and they buy it, cool. That means you just made money off of something that was on your website because you had a sales page for it, because you had a commerce feature, and they were able to buy. If you never had the website, someone may never find that product. So just super important, because it does allow you to sell things. It allows you to expand. 8, it is the best way to deliver customer service. So if people have questions, the coolest thing is being able to point them to your website. You know, I have an FAQ on this page. I have a service, read all about this service, right? Sales pages can help us do that. And it allows us to have an easy to contact feature. So like on your contact page, you can have a form, you can have a clickable link for your email, you can have a clickable link for your address, a clickable link for your phone number. All that stuff can be done right on your website. So it eliminates the back and forth with people. Oh, and also a booking link. Don't forget about that. So you have online booking, put a booking link right on your website. So that just means that it's going to be easy for people to then take the action that you want them to take in order to book with you and to make things happen. So it's just a great way to have customer service be easy and to eliminate a lot of the back and forth. And then lastly, you have this built-in automation, if you will. So with what I mean by this is I'm not talking about like if someone does something, then an email gets sent. Sure, that can also be built into your website. But what I mean by built-in automation, it ties back to the customer service aspect. So you have an automated ability to let people submit an inquiry so that you can then respond later. You have the ability for people to land on your website, ask a question if they want to by sending you an email, and then also exploring all your services. So by having a website, you are giving people a way to learn more about you without having to go back and forth with them. So that's what I mean by automation there. When we typically think about automations, we think about linking different types of software, or like having an email thread be automatically sent out. Yes, 100%, that can also happen, but really when I'm referring to this built-in automation for your website, it's just making it easy for people to do something that you want them to do, whether it's learn about your services, send you an email, send you a contact form, whatever it may be. Your website just makes that easy without you needing to go back and forth with them. And the best example that I have there is if someone goes to your website, rather than needing to email you to say, hey, do you offer pelvic health? It's going to be right on your website. So they'll see that you offer pelvic health before they even contact you. Now, we also have to understand people don't always read. So if someone doesn't read, obviously that's going to be a problem. But if it's there, at least there's the potential for them to read. If it's not there at all, you already know that you're going to be going back and forth with people. So all of those things, that's all I really got for you today. Those things are my biggest reasons why you actually need a website. So going to go through them really quick to summarize, then we'll talk about website options. So you own it, right? You can build credibility. Know, like, and trust factor is super important with it, and you can do that on a website. Your website allows you to build your brand, give you a place to showcase all the things that you do, your work, your testimonials, etc. It allows you to be found outside of social media and lets you take advantage of SEO, which is free, by the way. Allows you to blog, which means you establish expertise. It does give you room to grow, which is, obviously ideal. It allows you to sell things, allows you to have built-in customer service, easy to contact options, and built-in automations. Now, when it comes to websites, people are always coming to me and they're like, I don't want to spend $5,000 on a website when I'm just starting. 100% understand. So the solution I have for you on my website, you'll see it linked in the show notes. You can find Squarespace templates. I have Squarespace templates right now. The investment is $399 and $399. And what you get with that is a fully built out website that is professional looking. It's all done for you. And all you need to do is swap out your copy. And then you also get a Q&A call with me where typically the sentiment is, holy smokes, I can't believe we got through so much in 45 minutes. So you get a Q&A call with me. We do all the things on the Q&A call, and then you have a website. Now, I would love for you to check out the Squarespace templates if you do not have a website already. If you have a website and you're like, I can't manage my own website, it's on WordPress, it's on Wix, I don't like it, whatever it may be, these templates can also help you. I help countless people switch from WordPress and Wix to Squarespace simply because they want to be able to manage their own website. So for what it's worth, it's super, super easy to manage, and that's why I love it. And my templates come with tutorial videos, so even people who are like, I break technology when I touch it, you can definitely manage the Squarespace templates. So if you have questions, please let me know about those. And lastly, shameless plug, SEO School is open to the public right now until tomorrow night. So it's Monday when you're hearing this. It will be open until Tuesday night at 11:59 p.m. Tuesday night is when registration will officially close for all of 2023. I'm not opening it again in the fall like originally anticipated because I am offering 6 months of support or 6+ months of support rather than just the original 6 weeks is what SEO School used to get. So I'm offering way more support now, and I'm super excited for this big change. So SEO School is open to the public right now. If you want to join, you can check out the sales page. It's going to be linked in the show notes. And if you have questions, as always, most of them should be answered on that sales page. So make sure you read all the way down to the FAQ as well. And then if you have other questions, please feel free to send me an email, info@lexlancaster.com. Other than that, I have nothing else for you today. It's been a short one and I love it. So please, please, please reach out if you have questions about any of the things I talked about today. And once again, thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you next time.